Hey guys, what is up? My name is PandaMaster, and welcome to my spoiler-free review of WandaVision, Episode 4, We Interrupt This Program. I'm very happy to report that I really love this episode. I think this is the best episode yet for WandaVision. I thought it was amazing. I don't want to say any, but you know, those doubts I was having about the show in last week's episode, a lot of them are gone. And, you know, I'm happy to report that, you know, this intrigue is there. They've gotten me to the point where it's like, okay, like, you know, episode 3 was on that line, similar to, as I discussed in the Attack on Titan videos, right? Where it's like, how long can you go without getting to the part that we all know is coming, right? We finally got to that part, right? We know, like, the wall has been broken, you know, not in a literal sense, but, you know, we now have at least a semblance of what is going on in this universe. So let's talk all about it. I love this episode. I love taking a break from, you know, this sitcom-esque world and just learning more about what's going on here. And so there are some big appearances in this episode. I'm going to stay away from them, except I will mention one that is literally shown in the thumbnail for the episode, so I don't consider it to be a spoiler. And also, he's all over Twitter right now, and that's my boy Jimmy Woo. You gotta love him. You gotta love him. I love that he's back. I love all the, like, I mean, I think the thing I appreciate most about this episode and WandaVision in general is how we've gotten to the point that it looks as if the MCU is actually its own franchise now. And I say that in the sense of, you could watch the Avengers movies, like just the Avengers movies, like Avengers, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame. Of course, you wouldn't get the full picture, right? But you generally understand what's going on, right? But where we're at now, and it's like, I would still say that that's technically possible. I would compare the MCU to what the comics is, right? Where you could read one comic, right? Like one comic series. Like you could read The Immortal Hulk or Daredevil or Black Panther and just those, and you know, you would get by. But to get the full understanding, to get those cameos, those appearances, to understand everything, you gotta read the entirety, right? And so we're tying all this stuff. We got Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp. We've got another character that I'm going to talk about next week probably, from another part of the MCU. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, we see the return of someone from another part of the MCU. We figure out who Geraldine is, which is very, very obvious, but I mean, just in case you guys haven't figured it out yet, I won't say, but, you know, Geraldine's character, we figure out that stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff figured out in this episode, and there's a lot of connections, right? We see connections, and I'm gonna say this, I don't necessarily consider this to be a spoiler, but, you know, let's take a look at all of the things referenced in this episode of WandaVision, all of the different things we see from other things. We see Captain Marvel tie into WandaVision. We see Thor tie into WandaVision. We see Ant-Man tie into WandaVision. And then obviously, you know, Avengers, right? And all of that. So we're seeing all of these things where, you know, this is one big cinematic universe that goes beyond just the Avengers movies, right? So, you know, the Avengers ties together all these movies, but now it's not just the Avengers. And we started seeing that with Spider-Man, right? With Tony Stark coming in, and then subsequent movies around there you start seeing features and everything. But now we're at the point where it seems like every Marvel property is going to take influence from everyone else. And it's like, it's one of those things where you probably should watch. You don't want to miss anything, be it TV or movie or hell, like, shit, maybe I should start reading the prequel novel, or the what are those? Yeah, the little prequel novel things they released. I don't know if they even still do that, or the prequel comics, or lead-ins, or whatever. Like, because I feel like I'm missing out on something here. Because everything that Marvel's doing right now is all connected, and I love that. And it's to the point where it's not necessarily overwhelming. Because I would say the comics industry is a little bit overwhelming. It's very difficult to get into, which I think is one of the biggest reasons why it's suffering, and I think why we keep seeing these relaunches all the time, right? With like the New 52 and then Rebirth and Marvel Now was whatever they called it. Like all the different relaunches both Marvel and DC do, like I feel like every other year now, is to make it more accessible. And it's like maybe we'll get that way with the MCU. Hopefully not, but I do like where it's at now, where, it is still very accessible, but there's a lot to gain from, watching all of it, from paying attention, from trying to pick up on the little minute details. But I like this. I like where the thing's going. They released a trailer for the second half of the season because this was the midpoint, right? So we've got 4 more episodes left. Wait. No, that's a lie. We've got 5. Wait, what episode is this? Yeah, this is episode 4. Okay, I had to think about that. So we're technically almost at the midpoint, right? So episode 5 is the middle, right? The median. All right, we got 5 more episodes left. 9 episodes total, so there's no, perfect split. So episode 5, in typical fashion, that's going to be the climax, right? That's going to be where everything's figured out. And so I'm definitely interested to see what goes on. If I had to guess, I would say the 5th episode we'll get back to the sitcom format and see the 80s, which I'm excited about, mostly because of what we've seen in the trailers of Wanda's costume, just seeing that cool stuff there. Maybe we'll get to see the classic Vision outfit next episode that has also been shown off. All sorts of cool stuff. I'm really, really interested. And there's also a lot of theories about, who is actually doing this and what's, because we had some questions answered, right, but not everything. We're still in the dark about a few things, about how this came to be, the mystery of Westview and all this stuff. But I'm definitely interested to figure out more in some theories. There's been a lot of Mephisto going around, questions about if that's going to be, especially with the birth of her twins, right? I mean, the whole House of M storyline dealt with I have not read it, so my knowledge is a little blah, but Mephisto is involved in the birth of her twins, and then it also results in their non-existence. And so maybe Mephisto is somehow pulling the strings, and it would also make sense because of Doctor Strange in the multiverse, into the multiverse of madness, because Wanda is supposed to also star in that, right? And Mephisto would also be a great character for to feature in Doctor Strange. So maybe, because this is Disney's first show, right? So we don't know if this is going to play out like the movies, where it's like you have a standard villain gets defeated, and that's usually it, with a few exceptions, right? Maybe this won't culminate in some big villain showdown. Maybe this is just setup, right? Maybe this whole thing is sort of like a bridge into, Doctor Strange, or maybe, a bunch of different projects, or just like a segue, that sort of thing. And we'll see the introduction of Mephisto, and we'll see the complete realization in, honestly, maybe even Spider-Man, because, there is also involvement in that with a storyline about when Spider-Man's identity gets out, and the events of Far From Home see the whole world finding out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So there might be some involvement with Doctor Strange, Wanda, and Mephisto about changing that and getting people to forget or whatever, And so there's plenty of room, there's plenty of ways this could go, and I'm very interested to find out what's going on. But I am definitely happy with the stuff we've got with Sword, and having their proper introduction into the MCU and return of some really cool people, and I'm excited to see more. This was an amazing episode. I'm completely on board for the rest of the season, but let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below, and if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, that'll do it for this week. I will see you guys for whatever it is I'm doing next time. All right, See ya.